Look, let's just dive right into this explainer and completely shatter this colorful modern myth of the soft work-life balance. If you've been fed the narrative that success is this gentle, perfectly balanced journey of positive thinking, it's time for a hard system reboot. Today, we're channeling the raw, unforgiving operational framework of Tim S. Grover, the legendary mental conditioning coach who trained absolute icons like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. As an elite turnaround expert, consider me your strategic mental coach for this session. And I'm here to tell you right up front, winning isn't some miracle. It's a brutal, calculated mathematical equation. Here is your executive briefing for today. We're covering 6 critical components. 1. The brutal reality of winning. 2. Mastering internal alignment. 3. Tactical drift and micro-sprints. 4. Forging an emotional shield. 5. The average versus winner matrix. And finally 6. Daily rent and zero reset. Let's get to work. Section 1. The brutal reality of winning. We are starting with the cold, hard metrics of elite performance because let's face it, winning doesn't care if your marketing funnel completely crashed during a massive Diwali hypersale. Notice how Grover defines winning purely by execution and outcome. He literally does not care about your stress levels. Winning doesn't ask if you're tired or overwhelmed. It's a highly competitive race that extracts a massive toll. Grover saw this firsthand with absolute category kings like Jordan and Dwayne Wade. When a human being becomes number one in the world, their mental state is anything but soft. It is, by definition, an unforgiving, selfish pursuit. So, the question you have to ask yourself right now is this. Are you willing to pay that brutal internal cost? If you're content with just being average in the fiercely competitive Indian startup landscape, or getting a totally mediocre rank in the UPSC exams, this is honestly where you should walk away. But if you have that fire inside to completely dominate your industry, a drive that absolutely cannot be pacified by shortcuts, then buckle up. Moving to Section 2, Mastering the Internal Alignment. Let's get into the psychological warfare, because the biggest battlefield out there isn't actually your competitors. It's the hell inside your own mind. This is what we call the winning systems matrix. It's a high-value mental map breaking down exactly how top percentile operators structure their dominance. You got 3 main pillars here. Internal alignment, where being different forces incredibly hard choices. Tactical drift, meaning you have to adapt without any fixed rules. And an emotional shield, powered by this raw, almost dirty internal drive. Let's unpack that first pillar. Winning fundamentally makes you different. And you know what? Different scares people. You're going to experience what we call social friction. While your friends or average team members are out partying all weekend, you're locked in. You're optimizing customized CRM dashboards, you're refining pitch decks, or you're grinding through grueling exam checklists. Average people, they'll call you crazy. They'll tell you to relax. But you have to completely ignore that social drag. You 100% bet on yourself, channeling all your capital and time into one high-stakes target with absolutely no plan B. And here's the thing about operating at that top percentile. The pressure is immense. When a massive pipeline drops and doubt creeps in, when you start wondering, man, is the market gonna crash? Can I actually pull this off? Winners don't crash. They don't freeze. They use fear setting to turn that raw, uncomfortable nervousness into explosive operational output. They step right into the hell of their own mind, face the anxiety head-on, and convert it into pure activation fuel. Section 3, Tactical Drift and Microsprints. Let's dive into execution pacing, because treating your career or your tech venture like a slow, comfortable marathon, that's a fatal error. Forget the slow burn, this is the 90-day hyper-sprint reset. It's a strict operational protocol that forces high-stakes B2B teams to execute with back-to-back bursts of intensity. You lock onto a 90-day target rock, you hit it with maximum intensity, you take a quick 15-minute system reset to catch your breath, and then you immediately scale the next metric 10x. Consistency at the elite level comes from these calculated bursts of extreme energy, not a leisurely jog. And to keep that insane sprint speed up, you need a zero-bias outbound matrix to strip away all the emotional friction. Ignore the status labels, what I call the nouns, like vice president or senior strategist. Who cares? Track strictly by the verbs. What are the actual deliverables being executed? Evaluate your performance purely on cold, hard data logic and completely remove emotional validation from your operational reviews. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You have to embrace the dirt. Everyone wants the glamour of a Series A valuation and a ping pong table in the break room, right? But if you ignore the boring, dirty back-end execution, your whole system crashes. True champions are built in the administrative lag, the raw file errors, those routine formatting checks. You absolutely must master the unglamorous back end because that is exactly what sustains massive scale on the front end. Section 4, Forging an Emotional Shield. Let's move to our next core requirement, which is basically installing a titanium shield around your cognitive processing to block out external drag. Winning is, by definition, a 100% selfish act. Just look at the operational cost here. Rejecting people-pleasing, sacrificing comfort zones, enduring total solitude. To achieve 100% undivided retention of your focus, you have to get comfortable saying no to close relationships, weekend festivals, and easy comfort. The minute you try to please everyone, your time scatters. Winning demands your absolute, undivided attention. Which brings us to a concept Grover touches on that we can call the bliss station. It's this state of absolute, impenetrable solitude at the top. Average performers? They're terrified of this loneliness. They constantly crave validation and noise. But true category kings weaponize it. They turn isolation into a fortress for high-stakes decision-making. Up there, the shifting external algorithms, the market complaints, the societal noise, it simply cannot penetrate your operational focus. Section 5, Average versus Winner Matrix. It is time for an honest, brutal audit of your own mindset. Let's compare your current operating system against what it actually takes to be a winner. Let's look at the fatal gaps between these two. The average performer is constantly chasing work-life balance, looking for a shoulder to cry on after a failure, and spreading the blame when vendors mess up or algorithms change. In stark contrast, the unforgiving winner possesses this sort of Teflon composure. They process failure simply as a raw metric check, and they reset instantly. They take 100% end-to-end outcome ownership. You literally cannot afford to spread blame. You just have to adapt your execution loops on instinct. All right, final section, Section 6, Daily Rent and Zero Reset. We're reaching the final turnaround escalation here, focusing on why your past milestones offer you absolutely zero professional safety today. To survive this kind of daily, relentless grind, you absolutely have to execute flawless operational loops. For example, in an Indian corporate context, standardizing something super tedious, like a 5% GST automation check within your digital invoicing databases. By systematically cleaning out complex logistics without human intervention, you're protecting your managers from error handling fatigue. Automate the mundane so you can save your intellectual stamina for the massive, high-leverage multiplier math. And why are we saving all that intellectual stamina? Because of this brutal truth. Winning never promises to last forever. It's a temporary rented car, and the rent is due every single morning. Seriously, it doesn't matter if you secured 10 crores in cash flow yesterday, or if you completely crushed the top percentile in yesterday's UPSC mock test. That was yesterday. It literally buys you nothing today. The absolute second you wake up today, your scoreboard, all those metrics, your past successes, your emotional safety net, it ruthlessly resets to absolute zero. Winning demands the exact same peak discipline and extreme internal cost today that it demanded from you yesterday. So I'm leaving you with this final provocative reality check. Success is temporary, guys. The edge of your blade has to remain sharp. Delete your excuses right now, boot up your zero reset code, stop leaning on yesterday's glory, and go dominate your industry today. The rent is due. Are you ready to pay it?